quick one real quick because yeah, this need to be addressed. So I think I can wrap this up quickly. I don't think I need to do too much delving into this any more than needs to be. But let me tell y'all something, man. I've been looking at this Tyre Nichols situation. I've seen the video now. I've seen the man repeatedly wailing on this kid for no reason. And I said to myself, I said, yo, this is crazy. I mean, they was just repeatedly punching this kid over and over and over and over and over. And I was like, yo, wow. And then they pick him up, punch him again. There's one point when they kick the kid. There's another point where it's just I would never upload that video here on my channel ever in my life. And I'm sorry if you have a problem if it's audio only right now, but that's the way it's going to be. I don't want to be on camera talking about this. I don't think I need to be seen to be talking about this. So this is audio only on this one. So I hope that doesn't bother y'all. Some of these uploads are going to be that because you don't need my face to be seen to hear. I want you to feel the same pain that this man's family feels. This kid is not going to grow up with a dad, a man that was involved in this man's life. We always have these sayings about these kids and them not growing up with fathers. Well, here was a man that was a father. So don't worry about seeing my face. But listen to what I'm saying. I told y'all before this happened, and I'll say it again, that this what was going on. I've seen it happen in Brooklyn. I've seen it happen in the Bronx. I've seen it happen in Connecticut. I've seen it happen in Jersey, where you got these people that are sworn to come in and protect. And I told you guys before this, and they put them specifically in these neighborhoods because they're minorities. And they feel because of the advocacy of certain members that may hold a position in a seat, town, council, or whatever the case may be. As an example, here in Connecticut, we have a whole bunch of counties and small towns within those counties, and city in one city for each one. And so, what happens is you get these officers in these neighborhoods, and they're more terrorists to the people than actually the elements they're up against in those respective neighborhoods. Not all those neighborhoods are bad. A lot of those neighborhoods get the bad just because they get one or two or three and it sticks with them, and you got to keep the neighborhood clean. That is the key to everything. You got to keep the neighborhood clean. So, with me saying this already, I knew this from seeing this with other people. I never seen this growing up. I mentioned, KRS-One when I was growing up had a song out called Black Cop. You can go back and reference that. Just pull it up, play it right here on YouTube, it'll come up. And it was talking about this very same thing at that time. If you watch Boys in the Hood, there's a scene in Boys in the Hood where the black cop pulls out the gun on, I think it was Trey. And it's just like, yo, and he was more ferocious and vicious than the white cop ever would be. That's why I can't understand the psychology, but those are examples with many others of you seeing them turn up, and it's like in no situation should I have, especially in the neighborhood that I live in, have a black or Latino cop turning up on me because you come from these neighborhoods. You see what I'm saying? You come from these neighborhoods. And I was furthermore proven that when I was watching this video and I listened to these cops and they were talking like street dudes. They were talking like street dudes. Yeah, I punched that nigga, that bitch, calling the man all out of his name and everything else. These are things that they said in the video. You hear it in the portion that has the audio. The portion that doesn't have the audio, unfortunately, was taken from a nearby security camera because they had chased him up the street. Thank God we had that security camera. Those people had that security camera there in place. So that's why it's blurred and there's no audio to it because there won't be any audio to ascertain. To get surveillance equipment with audio will cost a lot more. So most companies just opt to not have it with audio. The Scorpion unit is which they're called, was defined just by very much what I'm just telling you right now. This was the unit that these gentlemen were part of, as well as a few other gentlemen were a part of, who were disbanded today. They were disbanded. meaning they are out of commission and will not see further duty. And when they do see further duty or revamped, it will come under a totally different name. It was an acronym. It was something for street crimes, operations, body and community, blah, one of those type of, things they give to the minority communities. Never in your life will you see an acronym like that unless it's mad or, you know what I mean? Whatever, you will never see that attached to anybody else except for blacks and Latinos. And so the funny thing about it was the timing that they chose to disband these people is the problem I have. Because out of Benjamin Crump's own words, he said the people in the community were priorly complaining about this very same unit. These very same set of gentlemen here that took an oath to uphold the law, uphold the community, and then you have a second precedence put on you where you go in to get the criminals, but you don't go in to get the what's the name. You're trying to act like somebody's daddy. That's why I told you, I have to watch these men of color, both black and Latin, that over masculinity, over testosterone, I live 18 days a week type mugs. Those guys right there, they're trying to compensate for something and they're trying to live out a falsehood. See, what they're trying to put out is, I'm going to tell you the psychological aspect of it. What they're trying to do is they're trying to put out an imagery that they're more than a man and what they are. That's for starters. So, first of all, you'll always find them attach themselves with the word alpha. And the way they define it is totally incorrect. Anybody ever went to school, there's alpha, beta, sigma, and the list goes on. You know what I mean? And each tier is not necessarily mean that one is more appreciate than the other. They all have their own mechanism, their ways that they fit in society. If you want to define it about society, the ways they fit in psychology. If you want to define it about psychology, the way they define its strength. If you want to define it about strength, the way they define by even simple means of your interactions with people on a daily basis. Those are all this indicating factors of which one of those charts you fit on. And each one has its own mechanism that works in society. But these particular gentlemen, they like to pretend that they're the alpha, which in their mind they have constructed is the most autonomous and the most important, right? And they are not. The alphas were usually the guards of the kingdom. The You can tune out if you like to. It's fine. I don't care. This is not for you. This is for Tyre. So if you want to tune out, you want to log off, whatever, that's fine. I don't care. People don't like hearing these posts, but they want to hear posts about violence. They want to hear who died next. But this who died, this guy, this good guy. It didn't bother anybody. You sit around and be worried about Ray, Mario, and all these ones like that, right? But y'all want to get in the streets and y'all want to protest and stuff. But let me finish on what I'm saying because I want to go into the psychology of these men so you understand that this doesn't happen again. And I won't be on record again saying something that I'm trying to tell you and you may not be listening. So I'm going to try to wrap this up in under 45 minutes. What you're experiencing is something, like I said, with that song by Boogie Down Productions, Black Cop. That song came out like 93, 94, something like that. I was a kid, right? And I remember hearing that song. And many of y'all remember hearing that song too. And it resonated in my mind so much because you've never heard lyrics since then that sound unique or sound in the same order as that song Black Cop by KRS-One. And the things he was saying in that song then, which is now almost 30 years ago, you understand what I'm saying? It's still held relevant to those same mentality of those guys then. And I tried to tell you guys in the other podcast that I did that this goes all the way back into slavery, whether it's chattel slavery, slavery in the Caribbean, slavery in the United States, indentured servitude. They all play in this, in the mentality that is developed because they always have to have someone that oversees the rest of the slaves. When they were building the pyramids, they had guards oversee the slaves, the thousands upon thousands of slaves theoretically to help build the pyramids. So there's always been a place for the overseer, okay? Not just in your culture, but in many cultures. When they had the Jews living in the ghettos in Italy, They had people overseeing them who worked for the church. If you know anything about history, you know that. They weren't allowed to leave that city by fear of disease and everything else. This is why they marked it and called it the ghetto. So these men, they come from environments usually that don't have a man involved, don't have no uncle. Mama got a whole bunch of sisters. Mama got a whole bunch of sisters. They're overwhelmingly around women a lot. Okay, that's one thing you gotta remember. They're overwhelmingly around women a lot. Ladies, start asking these men when you're dating them. I'm gonna give y'all a dating cue here. Start asking these men when you date them. Ask them, hey, was your dad around? Did he come around sometimes? That even matters. If he came around sometimes, that counts. That counts a lot. 15 minutes with your daddy can give you some information that will last lifetimes because he knows what it's like to be a guy. So you want to ask these guys if they grow up with their fathers. If they say they didn't grow up with their fathers, I'm going to tell you what builds a police officer like this. You got to understand this. This is not a quick walk. So if you're impatient or whatever, go to one of them shows or watch a 1 minute joint that I got up, okay? Because that's not how I do my thing. And I refuse to rush through this because you got to understand this mentality. So say you have one of these guys and you ask them, hey, if you're dating them, friendship with them, whatever, have you ever had a dad in your life? See what he says. If he says no and he says, no, my mom raised me or whatever, then the next question should be after that, okay, did you have your uncles? Your mom got a lot of brothers? You ask questions like this because it's very imperative because a lot of men that didn't grow up with men around them have a certain way of reacting and acting. It's almost feminine like in a lot of ways. And I'm not talking about LBGT and all that stuff. I'm talking about it's feminine in their nature. You understand what I'm saying? Just like their mama. So as they get around about 16 or 17 or 18, they realize they go to school, hanging out, partying, and everything else with people that did grow up with their daddy. This is the psychology of these people. So now they're in a competition. And that competition comes around by this. Those men, so-called men, now like to challenge the people that did grow up with their daddy. So the way they challenge is not by physical challenge, but the way they challenge is by getting themselves involved in they get themselves involved in different organizations, different branches of military. Some go right and become cops or whatever. And they come with the frustration that now they're trying to prove to the world that they're a man. You see what I'm saying? So this is why you get officers like this that will come out of nowhere and come to Memphis. Now, I got a couple of questions. Did you beat up any of those tough guy drug dealers like that your unit was assigned to go get? Did you beat any of them up? Because they were assigned. Let me tell you what Scorpion unit was in Memphis and how Tyre is related to this, eh, not even closely. It's they were set up as a homicide prevention unit, a drug prevention unit in hotspot areas. I'm figuring that somewhere along the way, Tyree lived in one of these hotspot areas that they said, or whatever the case may be, which, based on how Memphis is set up nowadays and everybody's talking about it, it could be anywhere. And so, what happens is you get these pockets within bigger pockets. And these police units, they go in there and they terrorize the people in there to try to get information out of them. So they'll come in, they'll put on this big spectacle in this show, and they'll act like they're the hardest asses out there, and the white cops will applaud them because they'll be like, "That's the way we want the job done, but we can't use our white face to do it because we get seen on the news. Then we're looked at as the can." Yeah, you might be in Memphis. You might be. You might just be in Memphis. Don't tell me about the South. I know Miami like the back of my hand. You know what I mean? I know Miami as well as I know New York. Don't tell me nothing about the South. I know how they get down. It's a whole total different get down there. That is a fact. So moving forward, you get these men that as they're reaching 16, 17, 18 years old, just to recap, they start realizing all those years that they spent with their mother, you know, and their mama in a lot of cases wasn't shit. Now, I know that's gonna hurt a lot of you ladies. I know it's gonna wake up an eyebrow or two, but fuck it, it needs to be said. A lot of you bitches wasn't shit. You wasn't shit when we was in school with you. You wasn't shit as a parent. You ain't shit now. And that's just bottom line to it. And what I mean by you ain't shit, and I want to emphasize when I say you ain't shit. And the daddies that wasn't around, you ain't shit either. But the reason I want to emphasize this because I knew a lot of girls when I was coming up. There was some of these young girls that had kids when they were 13, 14, 15 years old, right? And I'm gonna show you how this is relative to these officers that did this to Tyre Nichols. If I had to make a guess, out of them five cops, at least three of them was raised by a single mom. They had all the implications of it. First of all, grown men don't call other men bitches. That's first of all. They was calling this man a bitch in the video, which I was very offended by that because this man, and I want to emphasize that, was very much articulate, very much grew up in a better environment than those gentlemen, even depicted in the news. He grew up better than them. I want you to emphasize. You see what I mean here? I grew. He grew up better than them. He was more educated than them and everything else. And it wasn't at the hands of any white cops. And I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But the psyche is these guys, they grow up, and then when they reach 16, 17, 18, I know because I've been a 16, 17, and 18-year-old boy before, you start coming to some realizations about the world in general. You understand? I never had the issue of having the father thing come up, so thank God for me. But a lot of people I do know did. And if I didn't have my father around, which at one point he wasn't because him and my mom wasn't dealing with each other, I had my mom's brothers, who every last one of them is a military man. If I didn't have my mom's brothers, I had my mom's male cousins who also served. So I always had a plethora of different men around me. I used to go to, my uncles were Shriners or whatever call you want to. It's during the period. These men were decorated men in the service. And if you can't respect that, you don't respect me. Please unfold from my channel. I will not play that when you disrespect my family. But on my mom's side of the family, that's how it grew up. So I understand the unification of how this thing exists and works. When those men hit about 18 and 19 years old, they want to start pretending like they're men now. So they get themselves involved in different branches of military. They may go and try to join the police department directly, whatever the case may be, whatever they have to do to prove themselves as a man to get away from that feminine raised environment they were in. They run from it. I'm telling you. Anytime you get a boy that graduates from college or excuse me, he wants to go to college in like another state or something like that, it's usually because they're running from something. I know the feeling, honestly and truthfully, myself, dead hand. I left home when I was 17. I ain't never go back. I've never went back. Never went back. I've never called my family and be like, yo, can I come stay with y'all? None of that. You know what I mean? I never have since I was 17. So I stepped out on my own, you know what I mean? And it felt great. Worked my way into an apartment, all that. But it's like these guys, they're trying to prove that they're men on another front. And how the way they're trying to prove that they're men is they're going into areas that are rough and considered masculine themed activities, such as the military. So you get these men and they get out of the military, get out of services working, or get into services working in police academy or whatever they get into. And these guys, if they're minorities, black dudes specifically, and Latin dudes specifically, they turn into these turbo oxes. Now they want to go start lifting weights where he used to weigh 175. Now he's straight 270 cut with muscle. You know what I mean? You start having a whole bunch of things come to your head too. Like you're lifting now, your body's changing, your face is changing in appearance to some women, you know. It's a whole bunch of different things because you got to remember they're not just cops 24 hours a day. They have personal lives too. These guys, if you listen to this video, they sounded like the homies that were hanging out at the corner store. You know, they sounded like the guys that were hanging out at the barbershop. These did not sound like professional police officers. These guys in this video, they sounded like a whole bunch of just, hey, yo, you jive turkeys type of dudes. You know what I mean? Like it was pathetic. If you're asking why the camera's not on, because we're having a discussion. Discussion shouldn't have to include me being on camera. And if you log off because I'm not on camera right now, then you really don't care about the discussion. You care about the salaciousism. I'm trying to help y'all with what I know and what I've seen. And if you just click close attention, I had said this stuff about what happened to Tyre Nichols, uh, what, 2 weeks before it even happened, or the way we're talking about it now, in a different discussion, but on the same premise here, which was this. You having these black officers and Latin officers coming into these neighborhoods and they tear up the neighborhoods. They really do. And Benjamin Clump, under his own admission, he kind of proved me right because he said there were prior complaints about the Scorpion unit, which, alert to you guys, they disbanded today. They're no longer a unit anymore, police unit. And it stood for some little, crafty little, hood oriented acronym, which was streets combating organized, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not going to pitch all that, but whatever it is dissolved now. But there was prior complaints, according to Benjamin Crump, about this very same unit from different elements in the community today. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me. If you don't do anything, you log off. You don't like the fact that more camera, please hit that like button for me so we get some people that do want to have the conversation. That's who I want. You know what I mean? I got tens of thousands of followers now. I don't care about that. I want you to hear the message on this one. Point is, these boys, they go into these fields where they feel like men and they come out some ox train, weightlifting, wheat, soy protein drinking nimrods that literally turn on their own people. They don't care about you. I know a lot of y'all want to revert back to the days when you were standing around and hey, you want to go to the club? Hey, let's go to the mall. For some of y'all, was like, hey, let's go to the juke joint, whatever, whatever. Hey, we're going to Big Mama's house for Sunday for breakfast and all that stuff or whatever. And it sounds cute, it sounds nice or whatever, but you have to remember something. Even the caveman invented the wheel sooner or later, and they no longer needed to walk. You see, things change. In tradition, in religion, things change. And I'll give you something else. There have been different circumstances, and there's different societies that work different ways. And the best way I can explain it, but let me just finish off with these guys, and then I'll tell you about what I mean by that. These guys that you have that were those police officers on that scene were guys that were examples of what I just explained. They were over toxic because of their willing to want to prove something. They wanted to prove that they were the first y'all were the first jerks. They got caught out nationwide. That's what you were. And just like I said before, there needs to be more scrutiny. There needs to be more investigation when it comes to both male and female minority workers, especially if you're in the field of law enforcement, fire, emergency room. I've got a video of somebody, and I remember it almost happening to me one time too. I have a video of somebody that they filmed or whatever, see them showing them getting less treatment and like the EMS worker actually taunting them on. And I was surprised because the EMS worker was Latino. And I was like, oh, word? This is in California. It was crazy. These guys are put in these positions in these jobs to save lives and get you to the hospital, to make sure you get to the police department if you are under arrest safely, to make sure they do minimum damage when they're taking you down, which I will give them that. They didn't shoot them. But you big burly jerks didn't look at how big you were and how little that man was. I'm smaller. I know we can only take we can't take certain punches. You know what I mean? I can tap with the best of them, but we can't take certain punches. It is just what it is. You understand? So my thing with me is speed. But I want you to understand they rocked the hell out of this man one by one, like they were just a goon squad, like they were a gang. You know what I mean? Like y'all the real gang. Because how the hell are y'all that big and burly and you stress it? Listen, one of y'all could have grabbed him by his feet, the other one could have grabbed him by his arms, threw him in the back of the car, would have been a wrap. JJ Love said, I just watched it. I'm devastated. I can't stop the tears. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Okay, so y'all watching the video and y'all seeing it, right? Y'all think I'm making this up? I'm trying to tell you, I'm a guy. I've been a guy for a long time. I know how guys think. You know what I mean? In depthly. I know when you got low self-esteem. I know when you real, you fake. I know when you're racist, you're not racist, semi-racist, socially racist. You got social racist too. I'll get into that one day. But yeah, I know you are JJ Love, and I'm sorry we all had to watch that. But the topic of the matter is how not to let this happen again and what we can do to prevent it. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here as counsel, as I've always been. It comes apparent that this. You have to start, and this is the thing, and I'm trying to tell y'all, stay away from this blanket shit that Benjamin Crump is trying to do. And that's why I want to segue into now that I've told you the mentality of the type of cops you're dealing with, because some of y'all don't know how to diagnose it. Because it seems like sometimes single mothers are getting the blame the hard way. No, we're not blaming you for sitting there and dealing with some jerk dude if he did you wrong or he busted up at you and seven other girls and he got 5, 10 different babies in the same town. No, we not capping for them. We not applauding for them to screw them. You understand? No, we're not doing that. I'm not clapping for no man that keep on and go on having more and more and more and more kids. Don't put no blame on him, but put blame on just another one of his victims. But what we're telling you, ladies, is anatomically, psychologically, you cannot teach a boy up until a certain point. It's impossible. You have to have some male involvement. And if you don't, you will have a man at the end of the day that doesn't know good decision making, like them cops that know good decision making. You knew you were being recorded, gentlemen. You knew you had body cameras, and yet still you cursed at this man, called him a bitch, called him a hoe, smacked him up, and that man talked correctly as he possibly could. That's the part. That's the reason I'm riding with Tyre, because see, if he would have been some hood bug and he'd been like, you know, all that talk, you motherfuckers will never take me alive, and all that shit, you wouldn't hear me here. I mean, that's a goddamn shame what happened to him. God bless him, you know. But this is different. This is a man that was working every day, had a kid. This was a man that was well spoken, his family's well spoken, and everything else. So you got pics, and like I told you before, you got to watch these motherfuckers in between because they do certain things that you don't pay attention to. Like they'll apply for a person coming from home from jail quicker than they'll apply for somebody graduating from Yale. They'll apply for a motherfucker coming home from jail before they'll celebrate a motherfucker graduating from Yale. Please believe that. So when I say that and I use that example, I say it as this. When you have somebody like Tyre Nichols and you put him in a situation like that, I look upon it as myself. I'm an accomplished man. I'm not an unaccomplished man. I've worked in the music industry. I have a great deal of resume that I could throw down. I went to college. I can speak articulately. I have cops that respect me and tell me they want to shake my hand, which y'all have seen on camera. He said, before you go, what did he say, y'all, if y'all were live on that podcast? He said, I want to shake your hand. And I was out there vlogging. I'm going to read your comment in 1 second. So when I hear all that and I see all that stuff going on or whatever the case may be, it just reminds me of something that I knew all along. Y'all think that this whole love thing and embracing each other, whatever is cute. It's cute in words. But in reality, because one of those, let me guarantee you this. If those guys were talking the way they were talking in that video and they sounded like some guys that were on the corner on the block, everything points to me and says those same guys were on YouTube, those same guys were on Facebook. They might even be watching me right now talk about them. I hope you are. You understand? Every last one of you motherfuckers deserves to be dropped for what y'all did to that kid. Every last one of you deserve to be dropped. Street justice and pitchforks. All five of you. Drive up here to Connecticut. I'm up here. And remember, we're Castle Law Doctrine State, okay? Those motherfuckers took this boy's life. And even in their mugshots, none of them showed any remorse. And I think those mugshots should be shown in court. But even furthermore than that, this is the point. Those guys did what they did, not because the police department allowed them, not because necessarily a history within the police department allowed them. That is your first mistake in this whole thing when you drive out the story amongst the masses. Remember, you're trying to drive this story out to the masses, not to fucking just black people, not to just people that live in the hood, not to just Latin people. You're trying to express this shit to the whole entire world, and the international community is talking about this story right now. So you got to know how to fucking navigate it here, huh? And the best way of navigating it is not to try to imply white folks into it. No, let these fuckers sit on their own. Let them sit on their own. Let them sit on their own. Because only then, when you let them sit on their own and they get, and the world knows and looks at it and it says, oh, nobody's taking up for them, then the world will know you as a people do not stand for that. And it'll be your separation movement internationally. So you need a separation movement, which is that is you have to show to, you don't have to, but you need to show to the world the element of no, everybody's not the same. No, everybody doesn't sit around listening to rap music. No, everybody doesn't, you know what I mean? People out and speak slang and everything like that. And everybody just because they dress hip hop doesn't mean that they're stupid or whatever, whatever, whatever. Preservation of life applies to all. Yeah, that is true. But what I'm trying to tell you is you need an international look on a wide scale, media wise, to show that you don't stand for shit like that. So you have to let them stand on their own. Even if somebody white was there, don't say nothing. And Benjamin Crump knows that. He uses this as a navigating force. And what you're going to do is, Benjamin Crump, you're going to walk your way into early retirement because you're going to resolve your own problem, you dodo. So smart, but so slow. I said this 3, 4 cases ago. You keep on going in with the same narrative. You keep coming on stage on podiums with the same, and after sooner or while, it's like the boy cried wolf. Okay, there ain't no wolf over there. You know, he does. Y'all see these high end spectacular cases that he takes, like the Michael Browns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what you guys don't pay attention to is the thousands upon thousands of Tyrone and Pookie cases that he also takes too. You understand? Which he literally never really talks about that much or whatever. And I have a deep speculation that, and I'm just saying from my own personal view, this is not a fact or anything like that. This is my personal opinion. If there was someone that was connected to the federal government in the capacity of narrating a story or a narrative that they hope would get a certain trajectual ending, and those in the know, you know what I'm talking about, it would be Benjamin Crump. You mean to tell me that you navigate every high end story that happens across the nation when it involves somebody in an atrocity with the police? There's a possibility you work for the police union. Yeah, that maybe no, y'all not gonna get that. Whatever. It's my opinion. I've seen the type. See, he everything points to he, in my opinion, may have had some interactions at the very least with the police unions. And I'm not saying that necessarily he's a federal implant or something like that. But it just his moves, this Benjamin Crump guy, and I'm just giving speculation. I'm just giving theory here. I'm not saying anything for certain. So Ben, don't come and try to sue me, brother, brother. Yeah, watch that brother crap. All right, brother used to be we love you. Brother nowadays means we might rob you. That's what brother means now, 2023. Trust me on that one. Listen, Benjamin Crump, the reason I said what I said about him in theory and speculation is because you're always at the right places at the right time, aren't you? Yeah. Ain't you, sweetheart? You're always there at the right time, the right places. Like, who would have known he showed up at the case? Da 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 da. It's Benjamin Crump flying down to Memphis to save everyone. He even has the demographics laid down because he knows where there's a preferential violence at in these states. Y'all ain't listening to me. Have you checked Georgia today? How about Texas? All right, well, give me the stats on the days of arrest out in California. This is some of the things I say. No offense to anybody, I know are way out of some people's comprehension. So you could this you don't think it's that deep, but yeah, it's that deep. And the things that y'all are pointing at, and those are surface level shit. That's why nobody says anything. Like, who cares? Like, if you want to really know the real shit, and the few people that will tell it the way it is really is me. Everybody knew that. That's why I was never allowed to achieve and go further because people know that. Think of it how you want to think of it, log off, whatever the case may be. I don't give a shit. I know what goes on in this business. I spent 17 years in it. I know how they operate. That includes lawyers, media, music industry, movie industry, all that shit. Politics too. Pub did Rock the Vote campaign twice. They're all in a linear, what do you call it? Not a pendulum. What do you call that? What is it when all the stars? Somebody write in the chat. What is it when all the stars make a diamond? Like the straight lateral lines make a diamond. What is that? It's not. That's not an octagon. What is that? But it's similar to octagon. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's similar to an octagon, except like say if you had two triangles upside down. I forgot what that's called. But anyway, it's a name for it. And like somebody's going to tap in that did geometry, or somebody's going to tap in that did freaking algebra. They don't know what it's about. I sucked at algebra. I took algebra in college. I sucked at it. But anyway, I was taking a basic algebra. I ain't gonna lie, you gonna hold y'all. Anyway, it equates up to that, the 5 star point, whatever the case may be. So there's a whole bunch of things that go on in this little area or whatever that y'all don't think about. Now, the reason I said what I said about Benjamin Crump, and I just saw two people got mad. That Benjamin here to help us. He here to help us. Benjamin might work for the FBI. Y'all ain't never asked the question, why is there one motherfucking black attorney handling all the cases? Why is there one motherfucking black spokesman, Al Sharpton, giving a press release for all the cases? Whether they're black or Latino, they give a press release for every last one of them. Like, who the fuck elected y'all? Al Sharpton, I remember when you was in Brooklyn. Nigga stabbed you up and your coat saved you. You don't remember that? Y'all don't know about that? Listen, Al Sharpton is not the man who he used to be. Is not the man y'all see today. I'm not gonna go into the more salacious shit because that's nobody's business. I wasn't there. I don't know if he did that or not. Street say he did it. Ed Bass say he did it. But I don't know if he did it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna leave it at that. But I'll take you on something else. Al Sharpton was a hated man in this country for a minute. He used to be a fat, quite fat, burly man at one time. Yeah, I know you can't imagine it, but imagine Al Sharpton with that same perm, except a little fat. And I ain't talking crap about him. This is just the truth. Al Sharpton was in, at the time, I think the girl's name was Tawana Brawley. I had to be like freaking maybe 8, 9 years old when this was going on. But I remember when this was going on, right? This girl had said she had gotten raped. She was a black girl. And kind of find out later on she was lying. You know what I'm saying? She was lying. So that's why I said y'all think this whole thing with Johnny Depp or like Amber Heard or like these other cases y'all see like that's brand new. Now, they was going on back then too. And so girl, they kind of found out the girl was lying or whatever. And they did a protest one day, and it was in Brooklyn. I think it was in Bensonhurst, if I'm right. So they went right in the dead of the jungle in the Jewish community. And at the time it was a Hasidic Jewish community. And from what I heard, somebody stabbed him or went to go stab him, not necessarily from the Jewish community. And the thickness of his coat, he had what it was button down goose, which was like the 3/4 jackets y'all see people walking around with, look like you're wearing a whole freaking blanket. He had one of those on Al Sharpton. And they said the thickness of the coat was what actually stopped the blade from penetrating him. You know what I'm saying? So Al Sharpton, yeah, needs to try to get Al Sharpton the fuck up out of here one time. Ain't funny, but it's the truth. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button as y'all listening to me. Show me some respect. Hit up the Cash App, all that. I mean, support this channel. We having this conversation because it needs to be had. So it's just funny to me that every time we have one of these cases, it's always Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump to show up there just in the nigga motherfucking time. Dun, 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 I got the case. Don't worry about it. I mean, you the family don't get to consult with other different lawyers. How about that? How about if there's a local lawyer that's there that's better than Benjamin Crump? No, Benjamin Crump facility. Look at all these cases: Michael Brown, Freddie Gray. I can keep naming names. What's the other kid's name? He started out with him. Really, that's what made him big. The George Zimmerman shooting and all that stuff, whatever. If you look at all these cases, plus some high profile, especially in California and the Texas Latino cases, you start to get a picture that this man always goes after these cases, and a lot of y'all don't want to hear it or whatever. It's okay, but it's the problem is that's all four people jumped out because I'm saying this, but it's the truth. I'm not saying that I know for certain, but I'm saying theory based, and I'm just saying this, throwing it out there as a possibility is and asking a question rather. I want to react that. Asking a question. Is it a possibility that Benjamin Crump may in fact been penetrated by the FBI, work for the FBI, federal government, or something like that? Because I'm just or cohesion with them. That's a word, cohesion. Because you had all the black and Latino cases, Benjamin Crump. All of them. Da, 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 da. It's Benjamin Crump. Look at the sky, y'all. He's coming to save the day. And then you facilitate these fucking settlements. Is that your purpose? Let me sweep it up under the rug. Is that how we do Wubby? Is that how we do a Wubby? Sweep up under the rug, Ben. Ben Crump. Turning it law. I don't trust that motherfucker. I don't care what y'all say. Y'all trust people because they fucking skin tone. I trust motherfuckers. You see what these five cops got you, right? For trusting the skin tone. Nabula symbol, two upside down triangles. There we go. There we go. This guy's got it. He's smart. JJ Love, you're very smart. I'm in Toronto, Canada. My baby cousin had a similar experience. By the grace of God, he's alive, and enough people were around them to stop. But this could have been anyone's child, family member. That's the thing that scares me the most, my friend. I don't have children. I'm planning to have some children. I know I'm going to be an older daddy. So as an older daddy, as you start getting older, I already noticing it now, and I'm still young. You start getting less of a temperament, you know. Like nowadays, I shoot a motherfucker just cause. I'll be quite honest with you, you know. So and I noticed that a lot of other men, as they get getting older, we start getting the same similar temperament because your tolerance for bullshit is less. You've seen a lot of things, At 35, you've seen a lot of things. So I have a low tolerance, and I hate that some of y'all have had to see that on camera. An example is that where I was doing a YouTube live, but there's crazies everywhere. Um, it's hard to keep your temperament. So I worry about the same thing too. What would happen if that was my son or my daughter to explain that, JJ Love? What if that was my son or daughter and you was fucking with them? You know? Because if I was my son or daughter, I'd probably come back and get you. And before I get you, I'm gonna get like four people in your family just to make a point before I get you. Just to let you know I'm coming. That's just to let you know I'm coming. You don't have to believe me, but you'll find out. I don't take very widely to men. These men were bullies, these cops that beat up that boy and killed him. They were bullies. And they were bullies assigned to protect you specifically because of your color. So if you can't translate out of that these motherfuckers don't give a fuck about nothing about no color, as a adoration, as an allegiance anymore. They care about money. That's what their allegiance is. Their allegiance is with power. This goes for all black and Latinos. You need to listen. Because Latinx is doing the same thing to immigrants that are coming over in this country. It's just fucking disgusting. My dad was an immigrant. There was a time when you could come over to this country and you was an immigrant, you'd be safe and you'd be, you know what I mean? And now you have US born Latinos forming this Latinx type movement, and they talking shit, turning their back, acting like they better than and shit like that. Latinos is immigrating here now, you know. I know you guys don't know about that, but yeah, it's a real thing, a very real thing. I've heard it said in Spanish, so I know for a fact. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. It's very funny, and it's like two generations back, you would be him or her. You get what I'm saying? In most cases, like two generations back, you would be him or her. As far as my mother's family is concerned, they've been here for what, 10, 12, 13, 14 generations? As of most of y'all, if you're from African American descent, at the minimum 12, 13 generations. So you've been here for a very long time. Nobody outweighs you. Even the immigrants that came in the 1930s, they haven't been here as long as you've been here. They've only been here maybe 5 or 6 generations. So this is why it's important that you change your thinking pattern. This is the point I'm getting at. All these motherfuckers are not your friend. Do you see it now? And a million people used to get mad at me when I got up on here. And I used to talk about, oh, well, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like, and I still don't feel like that. I don't feel like every Latin person or every black person is my brother or my sister or all that shit. I know motherfuckers out here hungry, especially in Connecticut, especially in New York, especially in Jersey. It's the three hungry trifectas of the world right here. And shit, I'm gonna say everybody hungry here. So I know better. You go anywhere throughout the Northeast, I'm gonna say Pennsylvania on up to Boston, it's gonna be the same way. But they point those three out: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, because they're the most popular, don't you know? So I find it unfortunate, man, that it took for the world to see that every brother ain't your brother on full wide display for y'all to actually get the point now. Oh, I get what he's talking about now. And all that using your leverage to try to stop me and keep me offline and all that stuff or whatever, it didn't work, you know. I still got people as I'm talking to y'all right now. There's people right now trying to flag me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just not acknowledging it anymore. Because that's what they want. They want acknowledgement for the flag. They want acknowledgement for leaving a comment. Your comments get filtered. They go straight to YouTube Studio. Yeah, I read them. I see them. But unless they're really good and really funny or just so wacky that you gotta post it, I'm not posting that shit. So don't think because you've seen previous ones that I posted. That's one. I got 13,000 followers, cuz. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all kinds of people sending me crap. I don't care. You got to be harder than that. But that even goes into detail to show most of those people that are writing those comments or writing those letters, you can tell by their screen name, you can tell by their avatar, whatever. These are people that are minorities. I discussed the problem that I had last night with some chicks just because they were presumptuous enough to think that I was with this Asian woman just because I was sitting beside her. And as I say this out of Islam because it's my ex-girlfriend used to say it like that. And her brother said it like this one time. Look, see, y'all sitting over there like y'all in bliss. He didn't say it quite like that, but that's how he said it. It's funny to me, man. You can't even sit down somewhere and be black or Latino, whatever, have to look up and shit like that, whatever the case may be. So you must change the narrative. And I'm telling you guys, do not go after this with a racial aspect. The proof is in the pudding. If you go after this with a racial aspect to try to throw some white people in and be, I want the paramedic prosecuted too. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Who you worry about is them five fucking officers. You worry about them motherfuckers. Because when you worry about them, and I'm sorry for cursing, when you worry about them motherfuckers, well, that's the enchilada right there. What it sends a clear message is don't send these motherfuckers over here around us no fucking more. The fuck you sending this? This is fucking trash. Where you get this? What y'all do? Y'all had a police academy in the fucking high rises somewhere? They had the police academy for the weekend for 2, 3 weekends in the housing authority. You know the fuck you sending these ghetto ass people around here around us and think we supposed to act coordinated and be ghetto and unification and linear thought like you know what I'm saying? Like, who thinks of this? Oh, white folks. White folks that see, it's about four different types of white people. Let me explain this to y'all because y'all don't understand. I grew up around these folks, so I know. That's why I always find it funny. I could sniff out like an old bloodhound when one of these motherfuckers is pretending like they trying to fit in. It's always funny to me. So it's about four different types of white folks. You have your sarcastic white people that they say things and they really don't mean shit by it. They really don't. You know what I mean? Like they'll be like, "Hey, you know what? What? I got a black cat and you're black." You know what I mean? And then after that, they'll pay for your dinner and buy you drinks. Just because they said that, that'll be on their nine all night. Trust me, I know about 3 or 4 guys like that. Then the guys that in the second tier, and the first one's for men and women. The one in the second tier is quite different from that. He'll say things like that, but he actually means them. Yeah, they thugs with a badge. He'll say things like that and they really mean it. You understand? And they mean every hateful thing that they said or whatever the case may be. But there's one little thing that's undenied about them, and they deal with all minorities and especially women like this. They tolerate you. But please be informed the whole time that you're there, since you're not in a position of power or a position to facilitate signing checks and things like that, they would treat you as a certain type of co or whatever the case may be. Now, I avoided this because I worked for a black company for so many years, a successful black company named Bad Boy Entertainment. But many people don't get that luxury and they have to go through the worst of the worst hand. You understand what I'm saying? And when I emphasize and I say bad boy and all that stuff, I want you to keep in mind, I came in there as a kid. We were kids. You understand what I'm saying? We were kids. I might have been older than some of the kids. We were kids, nevertheless. You know, and so we were in our prime years. But I never had the experience of having to work in some of these environments or some of the people they explain they have to work in. They talk about the microaggressions. They talk about the passe things or whatever. The thing that bothers me the most is you get minorities that want to jump in because that's what happens around here where I live at. You get minorities that are from like countries that don't populate the rest of the country. You know what I'm saying? They really don't. They populate a certain specific area or whatever, and some people start to take an alignment and put that with dominance or put that with some type of control or put that with some type of opulence when it's really not. It's just a showmanship of you like basically got a castle in the middle of the junkyard. You understand? In my opinion, compared to where I've lived at and what I've done and everything else. So it's like this. When you get people that come from environments like that, the strange thing to me is you have one thing that's uniforcal right there, and which is poverty and the conditions in which poverty creates. And so instead of you thinking, okay, well, this one he gonna know what it's like. He knows what it feels like or whatever, whatever, because there's people trying to get across the border. You know what I'm saying? They got them down there sleeping on fucking NASA thin blankets in the cold, sending them on buses coming across America and fucking t-shirts from Texas to New York in the dead of winter. You know, shit like that. That's what the administration's governments are doing, especially down there in Texas with Greg Abbott. But you would think that there would be some level of, oh, he'll understand me. No, 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 no. They don't understand you. See, most people that are minorities, whether they're Bengali, whether they're Indian, whatever they are, whether they're Latino, whether they're black, whatever. The common denominator that unites every last one of you is when you put forth an effort and you try too hard and it's not natural, and you try to pretend that you're something that you aren't. You understand? Now, I understand. Now, I'll explain to you what I mean here. I have a friend. His name is Ruben Santiago. Right? Shout out to Ruben. My friend, his wife, me and Salty, she was involved in the 9/11 tragedy. And I remember in this country, if you wore a ski or you wore a hijab or any of that on your head for the next 10 years, at least the next 10 years, America hated you, right? And these same Arab people, they came around and there was African American organizations and many other minority organizations, but specifically African American organizations that were speaking up for these people. And they were defending them, not only in the news, but in the constituencies nationwide. And I hear sometimes I've had so many experiences where I have like Arab men, and specifically around here we have Bengali men. They are very, very jealous men for one. You got to watch jealous men. Jealous men are something different. They're very short-sighted men. They're very presumptuous men, meaning that that's the other thing that's dangerous too. There's nothing more dangerous than a motherfucker that actually believes he's intelligent and not warranted intelligent. You never want to be around a motherfucker that thinks he's overly intelligent. You know what I'm saying? And no college education, barely graduated high school. Can I see some of your, you know what I mean, transcripts, something that will prove to me that you're as smart as you say you are? Very rarely you'll find that. This people that extended their high school mentality into their adulthood. You know, they were sarcastic in 11th and 12th grade. They sarcastic and obnoxious as 25, 30, and 35 years old. And it will continue all the way until they're non-existent anymore. That's just who they are. So you don't put too much stock in that. Just don't put your hands near me. Don't say nothing too slick, because I'll get you. But it's just impossible to me to say this. And this is why I had to come say this. The third type of white person that you'll get is the type of white person that is just blatant, pure out racist. There's no blatancy about it. There's no, well, they could be around me unless if they're like this or they got as much money as me. That's what I was trying to prove to y'all in the second point. You know, they're all right. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody that ever thinks of me they're all right, especially if you ain't never made as much money as me. I heard somebody say some shit like that about me one day. He said, "Oh, he cool. What the fuck? I need your validation for? Who the fuck are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like in the scheme of it all, who the fuck are you? Like, if there was 10 people in this room that didn't know you, didn't know me, and I listed all my accolades and what I've done in life and where I've worked at, and then we put you in the same room and you list the same things, who you think would triumph right now? I would." And you know that, and I know that. That's why we're having this competition right now. Just like I believe a lot of those men, they were jealous of the octave that Tyre Nichols was speaking in, because that's condensed of someone that grew up in opulence. These men grew up poor. You have to understand the difference. Listen, put aside a lot of these girls that are out here. I'll use the girls for example right now. A lot of these girls are out here pretending and talking about, I want a man that make $100,000 a year at 20, at 25. I want to be married and have a kid and live in a white picket fence. And my husband, he just spends money on me ever, forever, and forever, and forever. Yeah. Good. I just want my husband to love me forever and ever and ever. Just you, huh? These motherfuckers live in a la la land, all right? These are the same people that come from households that never see more than $15,000 to $20,000 a year. You spoiled how? How? These are people from households that never made more than $15,000 to $20,000 a year, and you're spoiled. So what? You lived in a palace within the trash heap. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean by that? Like I've been in people's apartments. I'm gonna read y'all comment in a second. And make sure to hit that like button for me. I've been to people's apartments in Marcy projects, Sumner projects, or whatever. You'll forget for about 10 minutes you in the housing projects because how much they got it fixed up. Flat screens everywhere. I went to somebody's house. They had like three flat screens. They had one in the hallway. I said, "How you get it in the hallway?" He said, "Well, we did. We took a piece of wood and we put the wood up, right? And then we took the beams and we put the beams in there. And, we make shit happen." Jealousy, you spoke with intelligence. That pissed them off. See that? When that man spoke, I think that's what made those people irate. I really think that's what made them turn up. They was like, "Oh, you think you better than us?" Oh, you gotta watch for that one right there. That is just heavy with black and Latin people. Oh, you think you better than us? I go back to the 1800s too. You think you better than us? You over here can read. We gonna tell Master you can read. Master Candy, he done read out a book. They running again. Remember in Django Unchained? How many people ran away when I was away? Two. Oh, Stephen ass. They beat you because they had the nice watching no criminal record. I believe that is the truth, my friend. I'm glad you said that. The reason that I think that a lot of collegiate men and women are being attacked is because the principality of the potential of what you can become. You understand? And they have aid now with a lot of the new slaves that are coming over from different countries that wish no more than to have Anglo Saxon blood solidify them as an American. Meaning that a lot of these minorities are targeting out white women and white men specifically. Y'all better pay attention, white men and white women. You might be lined with some motherfuckers that's are wanted internationally and not even know it. Like that one woman that happened in Iowa. She ended up marrying this Arab man and didn't know that he was part of motherfucking what some people called Islamic Jihad. They put her ass on a terrorist list, and America basically said, "All right, well, you want to marry him, you go over there and live with that motherfucker. you you want to marry him, you go over there and live with that motherfucker. Because under Sahara law, under Islam, we can't bring you back." And the Taliban said they ain't having it. They refused all demands. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to tell you, good luck. So watch who you dating. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's very prominent, but you have a lot of I mean, it's always been a thing. I remember they caught this chick in Queens. She was married. Any of y'all live in New York City, tri-state area. I remember this back in like 2014, 2015. Mommy was from the Dominican Republic and she was married to like six dudes. I said, yeah, that's some old Hibara Beja shit. Only some Beja chick gonna get caught up in some shit like that in 2015. Only some old las mujeres pero la campo. Ahí va la. So I was tripping when I seen that, but this shit go on. So, but it goes on more internationally now than it does from the Caribbean. Caribbean people accept it, I think. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's gonna look funny at you if you say, "Yo, my husband's from Cuba." You understand what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna look funny at you if they say, "Yo, my wife is from the Dominican Republic." Nobody's gonna look funny at you if you say, "My wife from Panama or Colombia or Mexican or whatever, whatever." And you could be black or white American in this country. You know what I mean? Now that may not hold the same true for those populations, respectfully, that I mentioned, but being our civilized nature over here and under the realms that we grew up under in the United States, it does hold different. You know, we tend to look at people in the United States as, well, you live in a state of poverty. That's the overall factor here. You understand what I'm saying? Like all that shit you talking about that want to separate yourself on a micro portion, it doesn't resonate the same because of the pure simple fact, and it doesn't uniquely go with perception because of pure simple fact, you live around trash. You understand what I'm saying here? You live around trash, so you can't make a rose garden out of trash. I know Aretha Franklin said a rose is a rose, even in the concrete and all that. Man, fuck that shit. Shout out to her though. You know what I'm saying? But fuck that shit. I lived in condos and all that shit all my fucking life, and I'm trying to tell you, I'm talking about my adult life too. And it's the first time that I haven't. This shit like kind of looks similar to my old condo, but it's not at all. It's a whole bunch of things missing, like a deck, a whole bunch of shit. But that's not the story here. The story here is the fourth type of white person you get. That's the one that ain't necessarily racist, but they will use racist means to get rid of you. Meaning they'll use their whiteness to get away with some shit real quick. And they don't care if you Mexican, they don't care if you black, they don't care if you Chinese. That's when you really get a tone of who white people really are. So I done seen some motherfuckers off some Latinos too. And they be like, oh shit, I can't believe they did it to you, did it to me. Why not, Jorge? Why not Mario? Nigga, your name is Mario Gonzalez. What you think was gonna happen? Oh, you thought you was different, huh? You ever heard of this little thing called the Spanish American War? You should catch up on that. Shit, they didn't give a fuck about Mexico. They said we're gonna take your land and we're gonna rename this bitch Los Angeles. And we're gonna not only that, we're gonna annex you all the way into the further parts of fucking Mexico where damn near is the desert. And we're gonna take this over here. What's it? We're gonna call this New Mexico. Better do your history. That's why I like talking to old Latinos. I don't like talking to younger Latinos. Like younger Latinos, they want to argue with you and shit. Older Latinos, they just give you a real. They want to argue points and shit. You gonna rewrite the history books? Well, it could be. It's not. It's not. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, we pretending for. I'm not gonna pretend with you. I'm not gonna do these possibilities. Those possibilities and infinite possibilities that you could conjure up in your mind come from your imagination. So the fourth type of white person, like I said, is a person that will use racism when it's convenient to them. You understand? And they will do this. Trust me when I tell you that. You know how many times I've been stopped with some Italian friends before, and we get stopped by the police, and I can tell they this motherfucker's talking totally different than he was talking to me 10 minutes ago. But let him go ahead and do what he does. You know what I'm saying? No, officer, no, there's no problem. We're just heading all home. Who's that? Well, that's our friend Dav, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Good guy. Known him a long time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he makes a hell of a shepherd's pie. That's what I've heard. Yeah. So when you live in New England, you know what I'm talking about. But it's just crazy because those are the four templates of these men. Please go back and rewatch this if you need to. But I want to say this about those officers, and I want to say this about Tyre, Nichols, and just this the load off. First of all, I'm glad that they disbanded the Scorpion unit. It's going to be renamed, reframed, and re-put out there. They have to use the federal tax dollar money that was allocated to them and spend it on things of such nature. So you can't just write that off from the budget. So which means that even though the unit is disbanded, I do want y'all to know that the federal allotment as far as the disbursements for whatever they have allocated towards this unit financially per month as far as expenditures right now is still being um, dished out, if you want to say. So even though they don't exist no more, they still get the federal funds and support to go towards a unit. And I'm potentially thinking that what would have once been their salary. That's another thing I want to find out. Right now, are they still being paid a salary? That's very important too. That's another thing I need to point out and look at. Are these guys still being given a salary? The next thing is, do not try to make this black and white. You make this black and white national wise, you might as well just walk up there to the courthouse by your damn self and be like, look here, man, this fuck it all. You know what I'm saying? Let them go. It's okay. We'll have another day. Don't worry about it. No, no, no. Stick it to these motherfuckers hard. If any case that there ever was that y'all wanted to stick it to some motherfuckers hard, stick it to these motherfuckers. Because they're the worst of the worst. You trusted them. And they came into your neighborhoods and let you down. And they look just like you. And they know what it's like to come out of the neighborhoods based off all the slang they were using while they were whooping that boy's ass. You bitch. Yo, I ain't know what to do, yo. Word up, yo. I was like, where'd they get these motherfuckers at? A rap video? Would y'all go down to a rap video or something like that? And say, yo, pick about 5 people we can make into police officers. They'll supply lawyers for them too, and the taxpayers dime. No, I think quite the opposite. I think they're gonna let these motherfuckers fall. That's what I think. I think they're gonna let them fall. And the reason I say I think they're gonna let them fall, because the pure simple fact, this is an opportunity for white people. This is an opportunity and disappointment at the same time. But for some people in white culture, depending on what part of the spectrum you fall on, it's an opportunity. And I'll tell you what I mean by that so it'll make sense. It's an opportunity for whites to fall more so in a liberal fashion, if you want to say, of ideals. Because what you have to present is, okay, see there, even down the ranks when it comes to different races, there's a problem with the police department. That's what somebody's trying to put out there. And this is what it led to that whole defund the police dumb shit, where it took police out of neighborhoods in the hood. And now that they're trying to reestablish some of those efforts, they're prioritizing. Because I seen it last night in New York, and it kind of shunned me. I was like, why the fuck y'all in Midtown Manhattan? Like, you went to I went to 3 different train stops and there was police. Now I will not say that they wasn't everywhere, but the areas I went to, I know them areas because I frequent them. You know what I mean? Like, meaning I'm not just over there every now and then. I'm always over in those areas, and so they're more opulent areas of New York. You understand? And not to say that's my preference, because it's not, because I bop through the hoods too. But I mean, like, as far as hanging out, eating, having a drink or whatever, I do prefer the more opulent areas of New York City. So when I went into those areas or whatever the case may be, the first thing I thought was the mentality. Just hear me out here. And it works in the fashion for a liberal type to try to work in, and I'm not trying to attack anybody's political views. I'm just saying, Green Party liberal types, it works to their advantage as far as media is concerned, because what you get to do at that point is you get to navigate the story at the behest of the person naturally, but still at the same, you're trying to bring in as many fatalities as you can. That means the police department, that means the individual officers, that means the police captain, that means the police. You're trying to bring in multiple casualties, and it usually doesn't work that way very well. So what happens instead is you get the counter from the not necessarily conservative group, but another group, and their opinion is, oh, well, he was a horrible person. He was a blah, 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 this and a blah, 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 that, you know. And this time it just won't work because there's no blah, 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 blah. This is a clean kid. This is the best thing that could ever happen. And I hate to say, and I don't mean it in the sense that he died. I don't mean that. But I mean, if it had to happen, this is the best person that could have happened with, because this kid was spotless. You understand what I'm saying? This kid was spotless. He talked in an octave of not gangster or challenging or whatever, whatever. He was scared for his freaking life. And why was he scared? Because he had 5 black police officers. Let that sing in your head. He was scared of 5 black police officers. What part of y'all not getting? You think everybody's brothers and sisters? I have motherfuckers come to my page, even as I'm trying to get things out to y'all. I have people come to my page and I see the email come through, because my emails have alerts. I see somebody flag my page or whatever. One of my friends, she tried to put in my Cash App the other day. Somebody flagged because she put in my Cash App. So why are you here watching me? That's why I try to tell y'all, listen, all that blackety black shit, all that brother, sister, don't say that shit to me. You call me brother or sister, or use the shit like we, us, them, whatever, whatever, even if you're trying to be slick and do it. You know what I'm saying? I automatically cut you off. Only I cut you off like our friendship. I just cut you off from anything you're saying at that point, really. And if you continue, that could head to that, but That's what I do. I cut a motherfucker off real quick when they do that shit because that shit is just not what it is. That's not what I'm seeing displayed. And you have to go with what you're seeing displayed in the society, not what you want it to be, what it could be, what it could have been, all that shit, whatever, whatever. That's dumb talk for me, especially if you one of these so-called gangsters that come from like, I don't know, 2000, late 90s, something like that. You should over understand that, nigga. Fuck you talking about the way you want it to be. Yo, I wish the prices was like 27K when nigga they 30. You know what I'm saying? Like what the fuck are you talking about right now? Y'all motherfuckers is slow, man. Like y'all don't understand. Like you live in criminal culture now. That's what Black and Latino culture is. Even when it come down to like everybody be trying to pretend like Latino culture be trying to pretend. There's one part of Latino culture that's so pure and so rich and so innocent and look at my brown locks and blah 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 blah, right? And then there's another part of Latin culture the motherfuckers try to separate themselves from. Uepa, tú sabes, tú tienes el cuento contigo, eh? Huépame, huépame. So, get the fuck out of here. I'm not with that pretending shit. You know, if you pretend, this is what I say to people when they pretend. The effort you're putting into pretending, if you put that same effort into going after the real thing, you won't have to pretend anymore. You understand what I mean by that? If you put the same effort into doing the work, like I do, like many other people do to get up on here, instead of pretending, and pretty soon you won't have to pretend anymore. And you can tell people the story of what really happened to you. You understand what I'm saying? I really had this amount of money or that amount of money at my disposal. I really stayed at this place or that place because I got pictures, video of it. I really was around this person or that person because I got pictures, video of it. I really was, you know what I'm saying? Like you're able to tell the real story instead of trying to get this false facade to sit around talking motherfuckers like this. Like motherfuckers sitting around talking like this. Oh yeah, and I'm trying to, and yeah, and that's amazing, and blah 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 blah, like they do in Connecticut a lot of times. Motherfuckers sitting around talking like that, you ain't got shit going on, bro. You ain't moving the same way I'm moving. You know what I mean? You're not moving the same way I'm moving. So it's like, you make your decisions or whatever. That was your decision. You decided to work the way you worked until you get like 50 or 60, your back give out on you. You can't walk no more. You got all kinds of fucked up problems now. Your life savings is going towards your health. It's a fucked up game out here, you know what I mean? So you got to be aware of how you're moving on the chessboard. And one thing I suggest to y'all is do not enter this case. Talk about, well, we need to charge the white folks too. And don't, and if Benjamin Crump keeps saying that shit, somebody please cut that bald head black country fucking maple syrup drinking boysenberry pitching ass nigga the fuck up. Please, somebody shut him the fuck. He from Miami. He's from Miami. He from Miami or Lauderdale, one of the two. Somebody let me know in the chat. He from Lauderdale or from Miami? I thought he was from Miami. I think he's from Opelika or something like that. He either from Opelika or North Miami. He from Hialeah. He from one of the two. Talking no Benjamin Crump. And I say that shit again. They touched the wrong ones on this one. It you see, that's what I mean. They'll supply lawyers. See, I keep saying them and they and us and we. Man, fuck all that they and them shit. No. They are gonna let these motherfuckers fry. I'm trying to tell you. They're gonna let them fry because pure simple for you had one assignment. Go over there and take down the wrong people. Not go over there and fuck with motherfuckers that's 100% seemingly innocent and you know what I mean. Don't have no ongoing cases. You know what I mean. Hard worker father. I just can't. I can't condemn that. So I'm like, yo, fuck them niggas, man. Fuck them. They're not your brothers. Those your brothers. Those your brothers and sisters. They the we, they the us. They ain't no we and that was me. I don't compare me to them motherfuckers. Don't compare me to them motherfuckers. And you get that shit out your vocabulary, this we, they, us shit and all that, trying to sound like you all motherfucking classic from the 2000, You know what I'm saying? 3 in 1997, trying to sound classic, Huma Tap and all that shit. Man, listen, that shit's a farce. That shit ain't gonna save your life, nigga. You know what I'm saying? What you gonna do? Drop down to your knees. I'm praying to Kimmick right now. Fuck out of here. These niggas leading you to your death. Trust me when I tell you this. This is a real ammo you need right here. You need how to know how to fight society without having to lift a fucking hand sometimes. You know what I mean? Most of the time. You listen to me. You listen to them, they just gonna tell you how to cope with shit. That's what they tell you. They cope counselors. You know, this is how you cope with that. Man, fuck coping with some shit. The fuck I need to cope with some shit for, nigga? Who the fuck are you? That's why I have a strong standing on the motherfucker that come from another country. You only been here, and I'm gonna say this, even with my father being an immigrant, but you have no right whatsoever to come to somebody else's country and show your fucking ass on people that you know are the same. Well, no, I won't even say same. They're actually in better shape than you are. You know what I'm saying? Even if their current lowest state compared to the countries of origin. Like I told you yesterday, a lot of Dominican girls that I've dated before, some of the nastiest shit in the world. The Panamanian girls do this shit too. The piping and all that shit be and Mexican girls do this shit too. The piping and shit be fucked up down there. These motherfuckers will throw, and they get it from the Spaniards, because the Spaniards and Portuguese to this day, they still do it. They don't flush toilet paper. They throw it in a wastebasket, no matter what they did. Y'all use your imaginations. And so, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. It just be crazy to me how, like, you get people come over and they come into your town. Like, we got people here for, like, just to give you an example, we got a lot of people that came over here from New Jersey and New York, right? And they treating the city like this. The city needs to bend and build itself for them. You understand what I'm saying? And the problem is the dudes that want to say something about it, they scared to say something about it because they like, oh, I got kids and man, and da, 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 da. So I got to go like 2, 3 towns over, holler at them, get them in position. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this might go down. We might have to do this. You know what I mean? Like, take it back, like this real quick. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to the proper sources I need to talk to, whatever. Because it's a pen of order. You have to talk to certain people before things like this take place. I've always believed that, and I always will resoundingly stand by that. Certain people you have to talk to, certain things you have to put in placement. But it's made it more unfortunate, more so than anything, because you got these people coming over here from New Jersey, New York. They think they run the fucking place. You don't run fucking here. And the guys that leave here and go from Connecticut, because there's tons of them. The guys that leave down here and go to Connecticut to New York, you always have to be on your best behavior. But you want to come out here with that bullshit and show your ass out here? Fuck you. Fuck you. Take your ass back where the fuck you came from. You wasn't a fucking tough guy in the Bronx. You wasn't a tough guy in Brooklyn. You know how I know? Because I hung with tough guys. You wasn't walking around Brooklyn or the Bronx looking people straight in the eye, staring them down like you was gonna do something to them. Somebody take your fucking life. Somebody snatch the soul out of your ass. You know that. So why come out here to the suburbs and now you a fucking tough guy? And this is what we get out of a lot of these Arab, and I hate to say it, black dudes and Latino dudes too. And come out here acting all fucking tough and shit like that. I mean, like, make no mistake about it. There's been people out here that lost their lives in Connecticut, coming from New York and New Jersey. Lost their lives, thousands of them. They get to talking that shit to somebody from Hartford, talking that shit to somebody from Bridgeport, talking that shit to somebody in Norwalk. And it's, shame on them. We don't do that shit here. Walking around, staring at people, acting all tough and shit. Like you don't run shit. Ain't shit over here on your fucking name, nigga. The street, fucking house, department you live in, none of that shit. And you don't own shit over there where you fucking live at either, you bitch. Yeah, evil comes in all forms. We know that. But, this is the thing for me. It's like, the reason I just even mentioned that was because it's clear disdain that people of color have for one another. And if you can't understand it, they're all on a tier basis system within a junkyard, within the fucking landfill. You understand what I'm saying? Because this is how some of these fucking neighborhoods equate. So it's like basically, like you get the one person in the neighborhood that got the BMW, or the one person in the neighborhood that got the nice apartment, or you got the one person in the neighborhood that's prettier than everybody else genetically. You always got that one, and you celebrate that. So it's tears to the poverty. Don't y'all get what the fuck I'm saying? It's tears to the poverty. There's a tier system within poverty. If two motherfuckers walk into a fucking elevator and it's the same pissy elevator, and one motherfucker got on better sneakers than the other motherfucker, I've seen this happen in Marcy. If one motherfucker got on better sneakers than the other motherfucker, then he better than him. If he got a couple more dollars in his pocket than the other one do, he's better than him. There are tiers within poverty. You didn't know that? I don't think y'all as street as y'all say the fuck you are. I think some of you guys is fucking lying. You didn't know that? There's tiers within poverty. You know that? True, but they don't want anyone else to have any. There he goes with it. Who is they? Tell me who they is. Define who they is. Because you just heard me say that 5 minutes ago. I'm tired of hearing that they, we, us shit. You come back with they. Who the fuck is they? A few fucking non-important. Let me tell you who they is most of the time that y'all talking about. A couple unpowerful, corny, weak ass white men that like to use manipulation to get their way. Weak men always use manipulation, crowd manipulation to get their way. Your job is at that time to break in and see what kind of manipulation they're using at the time and in the matter. That's your motherfucking countermeasure, nigga. Talking about some they them. They hoping that you don't understand dynamics like that, so you could always keep on saying forever on. They, we, us. Think how many times you heard Fred Hampton in this country say they, we, us. You heard Marcus Garvey in this country say they, we, us. You heard slaves say they, we, us. You heard motherfuckers coming over on the boat say they, we, us. You have been saying the same fucking catchphrases for now a fucking eon. They, we, us. Eliminate that shit for your vocabulary. It's not going to do you any justice. I'm trying to tell you guys that. Every time as you try to move forward, you guys want to revert back. You got to let the past. That goes to show your certainty and your adoration on the past. No disrespect, man. I was talking about what he says we do with each other. Do you know what I am? Yes, I'm black, but do you know what I am? Totally. Just type in yes or no. Do you know what I am? You were just talking, typing. It don't take you number 2 seconds, JJ. Love to press less. No, I'm not mad at you. Why would I be mad at you? Do you know what I am, though? If you don't, I'm Cuban American and Black American. I identify with a lot of the things that you guys are saying. I identify with a lot of the things that you put up or whatever. This is what I don't agree with, though. What makes you look weak is when you use shit like they, we, us. That they, we, us is shit that Malcolm X used. It was shit that Martin Luther King used and all that shit or whatever. What he said, a man. I don't live under those tenets. That's your own, their own psychology to subscribe to. Not myself, my friend. But I agree with what you're saying. But I never want to be demolished over the people. That's the biggest mistake you could ever make is try to be demolished over the people. I know what I am, and I appreciate the compliment. But what I mean by that is we live in a time you're going to revert back to a time that happened once for a long time ago, where the common man will dominate in the end. The common man. The common man is not the man that goes to work necessarily 9 to 5, but the common man is a man that speaks plainly and he speaks to a certain resonance of men who will skim nowadays. But a certain resonance of men resonates amongst those men. And in fact, how can I say it? Encourages them. You understand? I know what you said. I know what you said. That's why I'm saluting you. You gotta listen to what I'm saying. I know what you said. I know what you said. Thank you. That's why I said thank you. I know what you said. I dis I disagree with the fact of a lot of people throwing in the mix. Let's pull in some white folks. Let's blame some white people. You don't have a system here that's to blame per se. You have the presumptuous tones, and in my opinion, what was allowed by that black female police captain, who if I had to predict, she's the next one out of here. They getting rid of her ass. Trust me on that one. She got to go. They've been talking about this since Tuesday, probably. She got to go. So what we gonna do with her, Billy? Hey, oh, I forgot what her name is. They gonna go in there. Hey, Mammy. I mean, Jolene. Hello, Mammy. I mean, Michelle. Oh yeah, you ain't gonna be the captain here no more. Yeah. Yeah, me and the boys decided out back we're getting rid of you. I don't want you to take it personal. You're gonna keep your pension, and we all should have best of luck. Oh, she's out of there. She's out of there. You didn't think so? She's out of there. That's why they let her make the announcement, because they knew she was out of there. She knew she's out of there. That black female police captain, she's out of there. She's out of there. She's totally out of there. If you don't believe anything else I've ever said, believe that shit right there. She is totally out of there for multiple reasons. You were the one that was responsible for the Scorpion unit, the police unit, which these men were involved in. Were you or were you not under your commandership? That's what I thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm making stuff up. Maybe it's just me. But that's what I heard. So when I listen to stuff like that and I say to myself, okay, well, how could a police captain is that being, because that's what I heard in my ear. I said the first time, I said, I'm going to read your comment, bro. I said, why isn't the police captain being held responsible or whatever? Because she was the leader of the unit. They had assigned to her. They had to answer to her. They had to turn the reports to her as being the captain. All that they were responsible for, plus a daily briefing with the captain every day. I agree. You brought something I never considered to my attention. What was that? The police captain should be fired. It's usually usual routine. If it's a case of this degree and to decree, excuse me, that's the wrong word to use. They will make a decree that they are getting rid of the said officers, said or charges, or whatever the case may be, or whatever. But the first set of things that come right after this announcement is going to be charges filed or whatever, is you'll start seeing people fall off. Everybody going their separate ways. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't know what happened, man. Hey, yo, you heard anything about so and so? No, man, I gotta run, man. I gotta run. The Range Rover waiting for me. Y'all seen this shit before. Y'all just fucking reluctant about it because damn, I gotta come over here and wake y'all the fuck up, huh? How's everybody fucking doing tonight? All right. Thank you. Next time anyone tries to wit my words, I will be harder. You have to be extremely hard with that. That's what most of it is about. Most people that want to get over on you are now resulted to trying to do psychological warfare on you. If you guys and boys and girls didn't know, meaning that you're being you're being thrown psychological tropes now every day in media. There's even some facilitators of it to help it out. It develops a certain type of mentality. That mentality is like I said, it's one of three: do what thy wilt. The other one is you have to embrace everything that's Anglo-Saxon or European derived from, and then three to fit in. And then three, it's the weirdest shit where I see somebody matriculate their whole self. You can tell this person didn't grow up like that, and they will matriculate their whole fucking personality to fit in with a whole bunch of, most of the time, mids as far as concerned with white folks, poor white people. You know what I'm saying? Moderately accurate. You know what I mean? At $100,000 a year, some shit like that. $100,000. You know how much $100,000 break into? I'm telling you, I know it. It breaks down to about in the state of Connecticut. I think it's like something like $74,000 after taxes. They take out something like 32 to 34% of taxes. That's not a lot of money. Trust me when I tell you. $1 million isn't a lot of fucking money either. A lot of y'all want to become millionaires. Trust me. Take all of it and put it in the stocks or put it into fucking like and that's coming from somebody that does stocks, so I know as many of y'all know. But take that money and put it into something that's way more lucrative in the long run. That's what I would tell you. Don't put your shit into monetary things or things that depreciate in value very quickly. Leases on cars. Do not lease fucking Airbnbs. I don't know how much I can fucking strain that out. These Airbnbs are ripping these fucking artists off. I'm gonna go on to all that shit one day. But y'all stop getting these fucking Airbnbs. Leave that shit where it is. In conclusion of this, I just want to say this, and I'm gonna get up on off here, boys and girls. Do not let these motherfuckers off the hook. Do not fall back on them. Do not hand them a shield by saying, if it was a shield, the only thing the white folks gonna do is pile on top of us, pile underneath them. You understand what I'm saying? They're gonna pile right underneath them, the guilty parties, and say, if y'all say that's what it is, but where the idea come from? The idea came from self-hatred. And this is why they killed this man. Those boys hated themselves and they were out to prove that they were men. And you could tell by what they were saying and everything else or whatever to that man, calling them bitches and whores and sluts and all kinds of, all the stuff that they were saying, all the grammar that they were saying, these men were saying as they were beating another man that looked just like them, emphasizes the point even more. These men hated themselves. They hated this man because he represented something in his octave that was something that they wished they would have had. So it was jealousy, it was envy, it was the pure violence within them already as individual men. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't like really hanging around too many like even when I work out, I don't like hanging around too many black dudes or Latin dudes specifically that work out because they become some of the most cocky, show off motherfuckers you ever meet in your life, and it's just boring. Like I don't want to hear that shit. You understand what I'm saying? Spread that shit with a girl. So I just want to catch this before I say. I want to make sure I'm not leaving nothing out. So y'all give me just 1 second. I want to make sure I'm not leaving nothing out. Y'all have to fight different. Y'all have to fight different. You're up against a whole new enemy, and using the old school forms of fighting back ain't gonna work no more, boys and girls. They ain't gonna work no more. They're on to you. They figured you out. They figured out your tactics. So try to implement a white man in this, whatever the case may be, ain't gonna happen. Even if it was three of them that were implemented, and they were at the far end. The motherfuckers that were whooping his ass were right there on camera, and that's where you need to put your full attention to. So whether it's Benjamin Crump trying to tell you to do this shit, Jesse Jackson trying to tell you to do this shit, or motherfucker, what's this motherfucker's name? Perm City. What's Big Perm's name? Reverend, what's his name? Big Perm. I forgot what his name was. But y'all know who the fuck I'm talking about. Reverend Al Sharpton, Big Perm. That's my man, though. I ain't got no hate towards him. But what is Big Perm? You gotta realize these are the same people that come to the defense every time. And maybe if they do have good intentions, maybe if they're not affiliated with such and such agency or whatever the case may be, how many of y'all are listening to somebody? You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Just listen to what I'm saying, hear what I'm saying, and please believe that self hate motivated those men to do what they did to this dude. A form of self hate is promoting these men that are jumping up on the foreground right now, trying to defend this shit and trying to implement other people into it or whatever. Now, I want them five. I want them five black motherfuckers in court, on trial, locked up, hands down, toot that ass up, throw them over there in that cell over there with the rest of them. Yeah, I'll do what y'all want to. That's what I want to see the motherfuckers. I ain't never wished jail on a motherfucker before. I hope every last one of them five motherfuckers get jail time. I hope you get tooted and booted and dooted up in that motherfucker on a daily basis too for what you did. Whoever the prison husband is in that motherfucker, I hope he have his way with you. You understand what I'm saying? So you understand. And I want you all guys to remember too. We finally caught on camera the business I've been talking about that was happening for a while, and the business that other people have been saying for a while is happening too. And that's people coming into your own neighborhood that look like you, terrorizing you. Better pay fucking attention. Let's go for security guards. Let's go, especially security guards. Security guards, they know more than anything want to become cops. You know what I'm saying? But they just ain't got the physical attributes to do it. So they end up staying security guards forever. You fucking Barney Fife fucking fuck. And then, you know what I'm saying? You just don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck about a security guard, you bitch. A security a security guard with a guard card. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like the fuck you talking about? So it's like, you get that type of shit that happen. The security guards, the police. I mean, I don't give a fuck what nobody says. That's just the guys that are the building guy that watches the door. You know what I'm saying? The security guard is another one. Matter of fact, I'm always good at making security guards my friend. You know, and here's a word of advice. One thing we learned from Puff a long time ago: no matter what club you go to in America, always make friends with the doorman. That's the best person to be friends with, the doorman. Doorman make anything happen. Doorman determine if you in there or out of there because the club take his word. Doorman might go out of his way sometimes and let you in the club for free, which I've had happen to me many of times. You know what? I like you. Go on in. I know we charging $100 to get in or $1,000, but I like you. Go on in. I've had that happen to me like I don't know how many fucking times. Yes, I've been to clubs when motherfuckers are charging them. Go to the Cleveland or in Atlanta. Yes, they are charging that much. I mean, not the Cleveland, excuse me. Compound in Atlanta. They charge that much, $100, $1,000 to get in. Plus, if you really want to get in that bad and wait that line, club might be over by the time that line over though. Depending on what night you go there. Shout out the Compound in Atlanta, Georgia. Been up in there now 2, 3 times. Shout out to SO and a couple other clubs down there in Atlanta. Shout out to Atlanta. I ain't moving down there though. They got Antifa down there. They done left Seattle. They in Atlanta now, Antifa. He said, fuck this. We gotta get out of Seattle. They prosecuting us out here. Let's head on down to Miami and Atlanta. That's where they coming to after they leave Atlanta. They going to Miami. Remember I said that. They going to Miami after they leave Atlanta. Antifa. See what I mean? They got you paying attention to one story and overlooking a whole totally other different story. How about to get penetrated down there? Pause. On some funny style. I want some other brothers that are listening to me. Make sure y'all pattern mind that right there. Do your Googles, do your research on Antifa being down there in Atlanta. Those people that got arrested down there, those white kids that got arrested in downtown Atlanta, every last one of them Antifa. And if you know what I'm talking about, and they admittedly said they were part of Antifa. This ain't no speculation. This ain't no, I don't do that theories and, shock value shit. I'm telling you the truth. Like, that's what they said. They said they was part of Antifa. So it is what it is. You know? So be on the lookout for that shit right there. Because these Antifa people, their purpose is to solely go around and basically start race riots or shit like that where ain't no place for it. And then turn around. Like their whole intentions this time was to attack the police. You know? And had they not got caught, you might have thought somebody that was a minority down there in Atlanta had something to do with it. No, it was these motherfuckers that they shipped in from somewhere. And when I say, and I hate to say they shipped in, but I mean their organization shipped in. So there's heads of the organization and they scout and plot things for months or whatever. And they say, you know what, this is the perfect time for you to go down here and start some shit. You know what I'm saying? Get the crowds going a little bit more. Same thing you saw with the insurrection of January 6th. Same fucking thing. You cite some violence, get a problem, build some laws around it, hand out a couple of dollars behind it for the trauma and everything like that, keep it moving. So RIP one more time to Tyre Nichols. You will be missed. I'm glad this video came out, set the record straight on a lot of things. You know what I mean? We saw now how these men treated Tyre. Y'all keep running around thinking everybody your brother if you want to. I'll pass on that shit. And last and foremost, the unit that these men were involved in, there was still some remaining men, has been disbanded. They'll probably rename it and put it back out there because they got expenditures they have to account for yearly. You know what I'm saying? And quarterly, but whatever. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Make sure you hit the like button for me. You know the rest. If you want to see me move somewhere tomorrow, I might go to this protest they're having for Tyre, Nichols. If I see some support in the Cash App or whatever, I'll go live. If not, I'm not going live. I'll just, you know what I mean, do it on my own, take a couple shots or whatever. That's not a threat or nothing. That's just the way I gotta be. People that donate get priority here. So if you guys would like to donate, TMH Global, what's going on, brother? Self Fate. This is my very first time catching you live. I learned things. Thanks for another one individual for another. You reach at least one me. Yeah, no problem, man. That's the whole point of it. Just spread that shit to your friends. You feel me? Like I don't want you to just take like I'm not like other vloggers. I don't want you to just come in and listen to me matter of factly and shit. I hate that. I really do. But what I do want you to do is get the information that you get or whatever the case may be and run it to your people. That's the whole point of this. I want you to run it to your people. Yeah. And if you can donate and help out along the way, that'll be reward too. But more importantly, I just want to get it to your people. You know, tell them so they know. TMH Global, what's going on? I hope I fulfill. I'm gonna do something again. I went to both of the spots that I said I was gonna go to. I went down to the Wall Street. I went to the air tram or whatever, whatever. Somebody flagged the video while I was live streaming. So I got a way to fix it. And we're just going to put it on back up. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. It ain't going to stop the show. So don't worry about that. So I'll throw on my what's name, my experience I had again with that. And I'm going to be going somewhere else tomorrow if we get people to donate. So, like I said, guys, throw in $40 or whatever. I don't live in New York. I live in Connecticut. I've always lived in Connecticut. So it's going back and forth, except for like spurts in here and there. We be in New York or whatever. But for most of my adult life, I've lived in Connecticut. And then prior to that, down south. So, you know, it costs money to be in New York. You know what I mean? It do. And I try to tell people, I love to go to these places for y'all. There's many other places I could take you to. It's one place in particular only I have access to, like probably like three or four other places. Meaning, if you try to go in there and get access and you don't have the proper channel of things aligned, that you're not going to get access. I can guarantee you that. And if you do gain access, it's going to be a limited access. So I'd like to take you guys to that place. So I think that will blow your mind. Thank you, TMH Global. You put up my cash app in the what's the name here? $ STRINGERBELL 80. Stringer Bell 80 is right there in the chat room if you guys need to check that out. If you don't have pay cash app, you can use the PayPal description. I don't do lives necessarily. This thing, like if you guys heard me, I was just talking the whole time I was doing my live. I really like the donation period, you know what I mean, and all that stuff. But at the same time, I know it's just a whole bunch of y'all that will not support that too. And like I said, I've asked you a million times, I just want supporters on my channel. And if you can't do that and you're one out of 13,000 people, I'd rather you just unsubscribe. You understand what I'm saying? Like that way you'll never have to see me again. I'll never have to see you again. C'est la vie. On compris. Huh? And it's like a lot of women just can't let that go. A lot of men just can't let that go. Just let it go. Unfollow me. If you can't financially support somebody, but you hear complaining about 5 black police officers beating up a black dude, I'm calling a Chuck on you. And you ain't the type of person I want to mix and mingle with anyway. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna set up the Patreon because I want to do some more stuff on there anyway. As far as like I got a whole bunch of videos that I can't put up, but they're not time conscientious, so I can put them up anyway. But I couldn't put them up here on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And I try to warn everybody, I'm really not trying to partner with YouTube because the money is low. You censor to everything you can say. It's just a real crazy pillar to be up under or whatever. And the thing about it is when marketing you in the algorithm. They want you to be so precise so that hopefully advertisers will come clinch to you. And I'm just like, come on, I can't be coming up with high school verses every freaking morning. You know what I mean? Yeah, to set up the PayPal. All of the link is in the description box right under the title here. To set up the PayPal. You know what I mean? That's why I have that option there. I have the GoFundMe, I have the PayPal, I have that. I'm about to set up a new PayPal and maybe use some of the proceeds from my Patreon to purchase a vehicle. I need a new vehicle. So I've been saving up for it anyway. But I'm one of the believers. Like I don't know how y'all think. Some people just go and get what they can get, like the basic, or they be like they sit there. I go get what I want. You know what I'm saying? I've always been like that. I go get what I want. No, I want this. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to save up for that sometimes or whatever. So at the very least, to work out with some payments that's decent, like $150 a month or whatever, whatever. I'm in cahoots to try to at least take them about 4 grand. You know what I mean? Low interest, all that, whatever. Plus my insurance, so I won't be paying out no more than like 350, 375 on an additional bill. It don't sound like much when you saying it, but when they get to it, you know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, they coming to take my shit today? No, you know what I mean? It's like some companies they don't play like that. Some companies will give you like 2, 3 months or whatever before they even try to repo. Not some other companies. Not some other companies. They be like, oh, you a day late? Psh, go get that. You better go over there, Johnny, and get that Lambo. You know what I mean? It's a fact. Other thing I just wanted to say out of this whole Benjamin Crump, Al Sharpton died, whatever is this, like, we could sit back and look at this story a million times if we want to, whatever the case may be, right? But one thing that does not miss from the whole entire movement is this. This man was stomped in his head and beat repeatedly by 5 officers that looked just like him. These officers were advocated by the community or by someone to be put into the areas of Memphis, which then, before, prior to this man's death, Tyre, there were people in that community complaining about these same officers and their tactics or whatever, which these men were never, ever convicted or arrested for some odd reason or another. You know what I mean? So, only thing I'm saying to you is like this, right? Tyree, RIP to you, first of all, because this hurts my feelings, because this could have been my son, whoever. He's too old to be my son, but y'all get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to think of the words to say. Because there's not much you can say. I can't say nothing to his mother. I can't say nothing to his family because this shit ain't fair. But to those families of the people involved, I would move if I was you guys. I'd move the hell up on out of there. That's never gonna be cool. You know what I mean? Living next door to somebody like that that got them type of feelings. Like I would just move. Anyway, that's enough of that. Me putting that into that or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna come back in a few minutes. I'm gonna give me something to drink. Have you heard a fan base created by Isaac Hayes? I've heard something about it. I ain't never messed with it because I downloaded it. You know, a lot of these guys, like right now, I'm checking out something from King of Diamonds. Shout out to Mr. Lenny. You know, King of Diamonds is now online. They're in the metaverse. And I was checking them out the other day, right? And I liked it or whatever, whatever. But I don't have an Oculus. I don't have a computer right now. I don't have no PlayStation 5 and none of that shit right now. You know what I'm saying? Like we straight on low cash right now. Like I ain't never been like this. You know what I mean? And like that's why I don't believe all that we the people shit and that we, they, us or whatever, whatever. It's a few selected people like TMH Global that's in here. He helps me. Miss Foster, she helps me. Ruby Johnson, she just donated $20 a day. I didn't see it till I got off the live cast. Thank you, Ruby. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain individuals that donate to me or whatever. But for the main topic, like most motherfuckers, like they're trying to keep their money in their pocket respectfully, but at the same time, it's disrespected to the content creators. So I don't know. Like, at one token, they don't want me to go and partner with Google and all that shit, but at the same time, they want me to just be a poor vlogger and do it. Nah, I'm not doing that. Like, fuck that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So, anyway, we'll explain that another time. Anyway, Tyre Nichols, RIP. Fuck these motherfuckers that arrested. They ain't shit. And, oh, man. I'm just going to go like that. That's just crazy. I may or may not be back, guys. Thank everybody for showing up. Thank you, TMH. I appreciate you. You know, TMH, man, he made it possible that I go to these spots or whatever, whatever. I said I was going to one place. I said I was going to Wall Street when I came back to New York because it started raining that evening when I was up in Seneca Village. But make sure y'all go check out the live for that. I went to Seneca Village. That's the place a lot of these people using their diatribes. And this past time, I just went to, I went and caught the air tram and I went to Wall Street to break down what really went down there. There was actually a wall built there. You know what I mean? So I covered the wall, caught the perimeter pack, plaque they had, and all that. So it was a good experience, man. All right, guys. I will talk to you later. Make sure y'all hit up the Cash App or whatever. I'm gonna try to get to sleep because if we can make a move tomorrow, I think I like it. I ain't go to New York today, and I knew that Tyre Nichols protest was happening today, and I didn't go because I was like, yo, ain't nobody hitting up and supporting. And this can't be Ruby Johnson. Ruby Johnson always helps. TMH Global always helps. Miss Foster, she always helps. And there's like two or three other people, they always help. You know what I mean? They might not help as much as they do, but they still contribute. You know what I mean? Here go 10, here go 20, whatever. They do what they can do. So we appreciate everybody like that. I just want to say that first of all. Yeah, any donation you give to me is definitely well embraced and thanked like heavily. So guys, if you just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button and go back to the beginning and listen to this. I think this is a good one. I'll talk to you later.